So we'll keep it very simple as a format. We'll introduce our panelists. They'll share a few words about their background. And then we'll go around the horn and we'll ask a series of questions that hopefully start to explore some of these ideas and we start to get those themes that we want to take back with us. Sound good? Yeah? Let's get started. So let's say on my furthest left side, we have Erin Stanton. Yeah? Erin Stanton, Global Head of Analytics and Customer Support at Virtu Financial. Yeah? You have something to add there?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Is this my fun fact time?
Why not?
Okay, well, a little bit of fun fact about me is I have 2 dachshunds at home. They usually make it into every conversation I have, and I promise to bring them into the panel today.
There it is. Sounds good. And we've got on my left hand, Áthila Armstrong, who is enjoying his sabbatical, but he's gracious enough to join us here. And previous to that, he was head of experience design at Airbnb, and you love key lime pie, I guess.
I do love key lime pie. Anything lime, it's with me. I'm Brazilian originally, so caipirinhas and things like that. It's all with limes. I guess that's why I like it.
Very nice. Do we have key lime? No, I'm kidding. Okay, and then on my right-hand side, we have the CEO of ActionIQ, Tasso Argyros.
Yes, thank you. Great to be here, and I like cheesecake.
So he is a 2-time founder and obviously dropped out of Stanford PhD to found his previous company and now obviously at ActionIQ. So
yeah,
thank you.
We're at ActionIQ and we're a DevRev client, which has been a game changer for us. So very excited to be here with the DevRev team and all the guests today.
Fantastic. Let's get started.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna get us warmed up here. So we're talking about customer experience. We're talking about co-intelligence. Erin, obviously with your data science background, what's one data science principle that comes to mind as we start to talk about customer experience and co-intelligence?
Yeah, absolutely. So model robustness is actually what keeps me up at night right now as a data scientist. So it's really important for me when I'm talking about data science to demystify it. So I'm going to explain everything through examples. So model robustness is basically where a model can still predict well, can still react well to situations it hasn't seen. So if your data gets noisy, your data moves, it shifts, you get new users, whatever it may be, that model still performs really well. But what do we actually mean by that? So let's take a scenario where you build a model to decipher MRI scans. It works exceptionally well on high definition scans. Awesome, your job's done, right? Well, now though, you want to bring in more MRI scans from hospitals who maybe don't have high definition MRI machines or from other countries who maybe have outdated MRI machines. Does your model still perform as well on those MRI scans that it hasn't seen before? Even more importantly, we've actually seen this in the autonomous car situation. So when we first started doing the autonomous cars, right, they worked really well when it was sunny out, but not so good if it was rainy. That initial approach, that was not a robust model. So it's really important that we think about deploying models that are robust and that can continue to handle situations that maybe it hasn't even seen.
Very nice. And so just a similar question, but Áthila, what about one design principle?
I think from a design standpoint, responsiveness is everything that matters in a way, when you're dealing with computers or actually any sort of tool. From early on, you want to have a very clear and right feedback. I feel that actually when you're developing new models, new languages around technology, responsiveness should be the actual key principle to design against, because you're trying to get closer to the result and the connection that you want to have with the tools that you're using. So responsiveness is actually usually what takes a design to the next, or a product to the next level from a design standpoint.
Yeah, and Dheeraj said moving at keystroke speed. Yeah?
Yeah, we really want to actually, in a way, there's one thing that we talk a lot about in product design, that's actually the feedback models. And how do you create a sense that actually you are in control and you are the system understands you, like kind of in your intention and so on, because everything is a little bit around intention. So like we try to really reduce the gap as much as possible. I think say like one of the products that pretty much everybody use, like the mobile phone like made a difference like in everybody's life, like when the actual latency like between like your action and how actually what you get out of it reduced significantly, like and that actually move you from the computers to actually mobile like on the last like 15 years because of that, because it felt like immediate and kind of almost predicting your action. It doesn't feel that actually you're losing, you're passing instruction, you're actually manipulating something.
Yeah, like Scott said, customer feeling successful more quickly. Tasso, what about from the business perspective?
Yeah, for me, the question always is what business metric you're trying to improve. And that's something you have to pick ahead of time, right? You cannot cheat. You cannot do a whole thing in a black box and then find one metric that improved and say, I won. If you can improve, if you improve the product, right, or something, or some aspect of customer support, are you trying to get retention, engagement? Are you trying, how is this reflected in the business? How is it reflected in customer metrics? Yeah. I feel like the medical community has done this really well. There's so many promising drugs that seem to do something, but then if you test them out, they have no impact, right? And you say, how can this be possible? There was this thing does this reaction. How can that not have an impact? But it doesn't, right? So being clear on what are you measuring up front and measuring it and then coming back and say, did we succeed or not based on the stated intent of this improvement? I feel, a lot of times this gets lost in the noise.
No, I know you told me that you think we're moving towards self-service. So if we start to rethink these KPIs, start to rethink customer satisfaction, CSAT, tell me a little bit about that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, the self-service is, it used to be a bug, but now it's a feature, right? Sure. It used to be that if you were cheap, you would have people struggle to find information on their own, but if you were an enterprise company, right, a high-touch company, then, you wouldn't let them do that. You would have humans that can always talk to them. But I think, especially with a new generation, right, of people like all these, kids that grew up on, cell phones, and they're just used to texting, right? They're used to like doing things at their own pace, at their own time, asynchronously. I feel it changes a lot about how you think about customer support. I think co-intelligence is a great way to do it. Help people be more self-service and get them out of the struggle. They can figure something out on their own.
Yeah.
But from a business perspective, it doesn't change anything, right? You still need to think, what am I trying to improve, right?
Yep.
Customer satisfaction is definitely one KPI.
Yep.
But also, you never improve CSAT just for CSAT's sake, right?
Sure.
You expect people to renew more, right? Engage more, buy more, do something, right? So there's always like all these different tiers of business impact that you have to think about and measure. They're still there.
Yeah. So Erin, with your analytics background, help us design the modern dashboard. What are we going to see that we don't see today?
Yeah, so when I think about designing dashboards in general, my feedback to people is don't. So what I mean by that is, and I love the Adobe how they went out to their customers first. So I went down the data visualization rabbit hole about 6 years ago. I took classes, I read the books. I was like, I am going to be the dashboard builder, like the best that anyone has ever seen. And I would build these, what I thought were beautiful dashboards. I'd put them in front of our clients and I'd be like, what do you think? You like this? And it was just kind of this lackluster, yeah, it's nice. We pivoted about 2 years ago, and what we did is we went out to our customer base and said, can you show us how you're using our analytical tool? Can you show us what you've built? Can you show us what dashboards you've built? We were pretty impressed. They'd actually found product functionality that we didn't even know we built. I'm not kidding. They found functionality in our pivot tables that we were like, that works like that? So what we did is we actually held a customer-centric dashboard presentation. It was probably the best attended event we've had in 4 years, and we had these super users essentially say, this is what I've built, this is what I like. We had so much demand after the fact that we pushed those out as system dashboards. So instead of using the system dashboards that I thought I built that were incredible, we actually pivoted and used our customer ones. So my biggest takeaway from how you build a modern dashboard is you start with your customer. You let your customer, you inform your customer enough that they know how to use your product enough that they can then solve their own problems, and then you take that back in and deploy that out to everyone else.
Oh, very nice. Customer centricity, folks. So, I mean, obviously, Erin brought up this idea of collaborating. So, Áthila, what do you think about collaboration? Even, if we're talking front office or back office, when it comes to explainability and teachability, how do you think about collaboration here?
From an AI standpoint, like I feel that there's a lot of the sense of like kind of you feeling that actually you are on a team is really important. I think the actual, like from a back office standpoint, like you're never actually doing something by yourself. And I think the sense of like not having this clear communication and in clear handovers like, between the systems is actually crucial to actually doing something great. I think from a brand and a front office standpoint is the same. Like you actually relating to brands in a very personal level sometimes. Like, I think coming from working at Airbnb for so long, like everything that you're designing was trust, right? Like it's someone else's house. You have never met that person before. You have to actually create like kind of a level of trust in a very complicated world that we live on. And it was that sense of like kind of we are always doing this together. Like it's actually a connection between like people. It's really important. Like, and I think that as we go into more of like an AI-based world, like actually trying to recreate like this sort of like a connection between like the tool that you're using and the and yourself like making the thing. It's crucial.
So let's stay on that. You brought up your Airbnb experience. Is there a community building angle here?
Yes. Like I think in the sense that in a way like we created like this club mentality like at Airbnb without telling that we are a club. There's like all these rules of like the community that we actually talk straight away when you sign up. And I think that's actually really important to do like with these new tools because right now like the AIs feel like a human like as an example.
I feel like a human too.
Yes, exactly. But they are not, and we are not actually relating to like as a community thing. Like so, I think it's actually part of like the ecosystem of like AI tools that you're going to end up using. You need to feel like in a way like it's a community of things that we are working on.
Fantastic. Tasso, are we laying the foundation for personalized support, perhaps becoming more proactive with support? What do you think?
Yeah, I think and this goes back to co-intelligence, right? We have more data than ever before about what the customers or users are doing. And I think there's a bigger opportunity to be more proactive, to be more predictive. In the past, we've done this with more traditional ML tools, right? Mm-hmm. But now I think there's, LLMs and AI, I think, can really take this to the next level where you can try to figure out the question behind the question, right? If someone is searching for something, what are they really trying to do, and can you help them get to that end state, not just service them up the immediate thing they're looking for. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a big opportunity, but everybody's playing catch up right now, right? Given how quickly the technology. So I think most of the products are still kind of stuck in the previous era. Yeah. But I think you see some things kind of emerging, right? About being able to, again, answer the question behind the question, the intent behind the intent, and get the user there a little bit sooner.
I mean, Dheeraj said left shift. You see that happening?
I'm sorry?
Dheeraj talked about left shifting.
That's right, left shifting. Yeah, we see that happening a lot. I mean, in our own product, I mean, our product is interesting because we have enterprise users that are trying to use our product to predict what consumers are going to do, right? So I feel like we're seeing layers of that happening, but it's definitely a big trend. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Erin, take us home. Future of customer support, what does it look like?
Yeah, so tying on to what Tasso said about being proactive, I always like to walk before I run. I've gotten burned if I've run in the past and I've tripped. So when I think about how we improve customer success, the number one thing that's a problem for me is just being proactive with my customers. And so, I said I promised I would bring up my dachshund, so I'm going to bring up a dachshund example here. So we're currently trying to train our dachshunds. They're kind of little assholes. Sorry for the swear word, but they're little punks. And so we're trying to get them to bark less. We're trying to get them to lay down. And so we have a trainer, and she comes in once every 2 weeks and teaches us all these things. And we feel like we get it when she's there, and we feel like we get it probably a couple days after. But about 5 days out, we're kind of like, wait. What were we supposed to do when they did this? Or, this one's jumping up, this one's barking over here. What are we supposed to do? Our trainer is really good. She owns her own business. She pings us at about day 5 and says, hey, how are things going? I could have easily emailed her on day 5 every time and said, oh my God, we thought we had it. Things have gone off the rail. But it's not until she emails us that we're like, oh my God, thank God you emailed. Things have gone completely off the rails. So when I think about the power of LLMs today, a really simple, low-risk situation is creating LLMs that just ping my customers with a proactive message that's in my tone. Hey, just checking in. We had that call last week. How are things going? The LLM can probably do that pretty well. I'm less concerned about risk, that the LLM is making decisions, that it's, describing things that it gets wrong. I'm just using it to be proactive. I then, when I get the reply, can step in as the human, and they said, oh my God, thank God you emailed. I'm really having problems building this dashboard. So I think that's a really great use case that we can start using today to be more proactive with our customers. As we get more comfortable, as these tools get better, then we can expand on that and just, almost automate that with some of their use cases, automate that with all the data we have.
I'm with that. So folks, we started and ended with dachshunds. That's the key. So I appreciate everybody's time. Folks on the panel, thank you for your time. That's all we have.
Thank you.
How about a hand for Áthila, Erin, Tassos, and Ahmed? What a great session.